The subject of today's video was never supposed to make it anywhere in life, as he had an extremely tough upbringing. Not only did he make it big in life, but he won a national championship, set school records, was an all-pro selection, a Pro Bowler, led the league in touchdowns, and went down as one of the best wide receivers in his franchise's history. In today's video, I want to do something I typically don't do on this channel, and revisit an older college football player or someone who actually had success in their career. For the most part, I do more recent guys or players who ended up failing in the NFL, but today I wanted to change things up and highlight a player who actually did make something of himself. So today we're going to tell his story, and right before we get started, please be sure to subscribe, as nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, and hitting that button is greatly appreciated. Now let's get started. So at this point, you're probably wondering who the subject of today's video is, and we are talking about none other than Dwayne Bowe. Bowe was never supposed to make it in life, as he grew up in an area of Florida that was riddled with crime, and his mother wasn't exactly the best mother out there. When he was young, he grew up in a terribly dirty environment, and his mother could not take care of him. One day, the grandparents walked into Dwayne's house to find him and his brother just laying around, with no one even watching them. They originally only took Dwayne's brother, but after they got back to the house, his grandparents decided to drive back and get Dwayne, and then 3 days later, his mother called. Instead of being furious about them taking her son, she told them that she could not take care of Dwayne, and that she would go to the court and give them custody. That's exactly what happened, but things didn't get better overnight. While his grandparents gave him stability, a clean house, and good role models, he found himself getting in a lot of trouble, not trying in school, and headed down the wrong path. One day, he almost got in a fight, but one of the football coaches at school walked up to him and told him that he could play football. Dwayne was pretty surprised by that, but at that time, he was over 6 foot, so he had the size, and he had the body to be a good football player. The problem was he had never really played sports. Not only had he not played sports before, but he struggled academically in high school and was in some trouble, but the high school football coach would take a chance on him and told him to try out for the team. He did not start playing until his junior season at Norland High School, but on his first ever play, magic happened. He returned to kickoff 101 yards for a score, and it was the beginning of a long football career. Football was apparently the outlet that saved his life, and after being hospitalized in a fight, he chose to focus his life on football and be different from that. While he was in high school, he played alongside Antoine Barnes, who was a guy who would go on to play for Florida International and eventually the Baltimore Ravens. Bowe had a high impact on the team, and Barnes had this to say about it. Quote, "He was the reason why we went to the state championships. He kind of carried us on his back until the playoffs. He was the reason why we went 9-2. So yeah, as I said, he started playing football as a junior, and he recorded 32 catches for 624 yards and 2 scores in his first year on the field. As a senior, he would bump that up as he caught 40 passes for 822 yards and 14 touchdowns. Not only did his numbers improve, but he was also battling a bruised foot at the time. He was being recruited by a ton of schools, but LSU always stuck out to him. Jimbo Fisher at the time was the lead recruiter, and he had this to say: "Bowe should have been the mouthiest, worst, most fighting kid ever. He had every reason to be the worst kid in the world. He should have been. And so I always had great respect for him, not because of how he played, but because of who he became because of all that." So yeah, Bowe had really turned his life around at this point and did something that no one expected him to do. He ended up committing to the LSU Tigers and was a big deal on the high school recruiting trail. According to 24/7 Sports, Bowe was a 4-star recruit, the number 15 wide receiver, and the 140th best player in the class of 2003. He joined a loaded LSU team, and there was a lot of hype for him. When Dwayne Bowe got to LSU, Nick Saban was the head coach of the LSU program. As a true freshman, he'd play in 13 games, and he became the 4th best wide receiver on the team. He led all freshmen with 9 catches for 106 yards, and his best game came against Arizona as he caught 3 passes for 32 yards. The Tigers were really good that year as they ended up going all the way to the national title game where they would beat Oklahoma. As a fun fact, the coaching staff included Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, and Will Muschamp. Going into Dwayne's sophomore year, he was second on the team in catches. He'd start 10 of them and would finish the year with 39 catches for 597 yards and 5 scores. The LSU Tigers would play against Iowa in the Capital One Bowl, and he would have the best game of his career to that point. He had 8 catches for 122 yards in that game, but unfortunately they could not beat the Hawkeyes. Going into 2005, he would start to break out and become a household name. He finished the year with 41 catches for 710 yards and 9 touchdowns He set an LSU record by catching at least one touchdown pass in 7 straight games, and he even missed a game that year. The height of that season came when he caught a game-winning touchdown in a 16-13 win over Alabama, and he would help LSU get all the way to the SEC championship game where they would lose to Georgia, and then beat Miami in the Peach Bowl. He probably could have left for the NFL after this year, but he chose to come back for one more, and he definitely did not regret it. Him, Craig Davis, and Early Doucette became one of the nation's premier receiving corps, as all three of them combined for over 180 catches for 2,500 yards and 24 touchdowns. Bowe himself caught 65 passes for 990 yards and a school record 12 touchdowns. Some highlight moments of that year came when he caught a touchdown with 14 seconds left to send the Ole Miss game to overtime, and he also helped them to an 11-2 record where they would beat Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. Bowe would finish as one of the best wide receivers in school history, if not the best, and he was going to have a chance to make a high impact in the NFL. He ended up getting taken in the first round with the 23rd overall pick by the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2007 NFL Draft. Going into his Chiefs career, he was expected to have an impact. In 2007, he would play spectacular, as he'd lead all rookies with 70 catches for 995 yards and 6 touchdowns. This set franchise records for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was named to the All-Rookie team. In 2008, the most notable moment came when he dropped a game-winning score, but he'd still go on to go for over 1,000 yards on 86 receptions. In 2009, the Chiefs would bring in Matt Castle, and his numbers would end up taking a dip, but part of that was due to a suspension because he broke the NFL substance policy. He still finished the year with nearly 600 yards and 4 touchdowns. 2010 would become the biggest season for him, as he'd go on to have 72 catches for 1,162 yards and a league-leading 15 touchdowns. Because of that, he was named to a Pro Bowl and was an All-Pro first-team selection. This is when he started to establish himself as more of a superstar, but it wouldn't last forever. In 2011, he would follow that up with 81 catches for 1,159 yards and 5 scores, but from there, his numbers would start to drop. He'd only have 800 yards in 2012, only 673 in 2013, and only 754 in 2014. He had a couple run-ins with the law here and there, but for the most part, he kept pretty clean during his career. After playing 8 seasons with the Chiefs and having over 7,000 yards and 44 touchdowns, he would decide to move on to one more team. In 2015, he was signed with the Cleveland Browns, and he really didn't have much of an impact. He only appeared in 7 games, having a total of 5 catches for 53 yards. From there, his effort and commitment to football apparently came into question, and the Browns would release him in March of 2016. After not being in the league for a couple of years, you have to flash forward all the way to May 16th, 2019, as he would sign a 1-day ceremonial contract with the Chiefs and would retire as a Kansas City guy. Dwayne Bowe is a huge name in the NFL, and while going into this video I thought he had more than one Pro Bowl appearance. He's one of the best wide receivers in Chiefs history, will go down as an LSU legend forever, and his story of beating all the odds is the icing on the cake. I haven't done many videos like this, so if you really did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like and a comment so I know if I should do more videos like this. Before you go, be sure to let me know another player I should take a look at next. Hit that like button, subscribe if you are new here, and check out all my other videos on the end screen, including my video about the tragic downfall of Miles Brennan. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.